That was rough. From start to finish, that was rough. This Indiana Fever team never really seemed in the game. Never really seemed like they had a chance to win. They took the lead for a small little second in the third quarter, but even then, didn't really feel like they were going to win the game. If anything, it felt like the Golden State Valkyrie are throwing the game away, but the Indiana Fever just couldn't pull it off.
Rough from start to finish. That's the verdict, and it lands before the box score even opens. But here's what's strange. The complaint isn't really about the loss. Listen again to who gets named. Not the Valkyries.
Stephanie White, the magician herself, pulls out a magic trick. 12 points in the second quarter. It's a magic trick because it's still a mystery how it's possible you only scored 12 points in a quarter.
12 points in an entire quarter in a professional basketball game with Caitlin Clark and Kelsey Mitchell both on the floor. That number is the whole video. Because there are two explanations for it, and only one of them is the one everybody's saying out loud.
Stephanie White also lies to us, lies to Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark, she played the entire fourth quarter. Do you know what that tells me? That tells me minutes restriction is stat management. Shout out to Venom. Get better, Venom. Speedy recovery. Stat management. We're managing CC stats.
That's the accusation. Not bad coaching. Not a cold shooting night. Stat management. The claim being made here is that the minutes restriction on Clark isn't medical at all, that it's a number being managed. That is an allegation from a commentator, not a confirmed fact, and it deserves to be treated that way. But it's an allegation with
Another way I know she's managing not only CC stats, but trying to get Kelsey Mitchell some amplified stats. Kelsey Mitchell gets put back in the game with 38 seconds left and comes in and shoots a quick shot as if we're trying to reach our season average to make first team all. Aaliyah Boston. Is Aaliyah Boston on minutes restriction too, Steph? Aaliyah Boston didn't really seem to be playing at all today, as if she was on minutes restriction as well.
There it is. 38 seconds left, down double digits, and Kelsey Mitchell is back on the floor taking a quick shot. Now coaches do this. It's not scandalous on its own. Rotations at the end of a decided game are loose. Bench is empty. Starters sometimes get a courtesy possession. But the reading offered here is specific, that the shot exists to move a season average, with all WNBA voting sitting at the end of the year. And that's the thing about garbage time. It tells you what a team actually cares about when the result no longer matters. You can't hide priorities in the last minute of a blowout, because nothing else is competing for the coach's attention. Then there's Aaliyah Boston, who the host says looked like she was on a restriction too.
Monique Billings. Monique Billings has probably lost all of her stock in this first half of the season. She's lost her worth has gone down significantly. I'm not even sure if you could trade Monique Billings for a bag of Cool Ranch Doritos, nacho cheese Doritos. You definitely can't get a bag of purple chips, a purple bag of Doritos for her. No, those purple bag, I'm holding on to my purple bag of Doritos before I trade it for some Monique Billings.
The Doritos bit is funny. The underlying point isn't. Monique Billings came into this season as a real rotation piece with real value on the market. The argument here is that half a season has effectively erased that. Not injured, not benched, just quietly diminished, game after game, until the trade value evaporates. And this is where a losing stretch stops being about one night. Rosters are built on perceived worth. Every flat performance is a small withdrawal from an account you can't easily refill. By the deadline, you're not negotiating from the player you drafted or signed. You're negotiating from the player the tape says you have right now.
Section below, subscribe to the channel, I greatly appreciate it. 75-88, the Indiana Fever lose by 13. Never for 1 second feels like we were in this game. Now, our player of the game tonight was Sophie Cunningham. Our player of the game tonight was Sophie Cunningham. Kelsey Mitchell played like trash. Caitlin Clark, rough shooting night. Aaliyah Boston, no call, no show. Monique Billings has been doing what she's been doing all season long. Nothing.
13 points is the final margin. But the honest part of that clip is the player of the game, Sophie Cunningham. Off the bench, when your night's best performance comes from your bench, and your two highest usage guards combine for a rough shooting night, you don't have a bad game. You have a structural problem wearing a bad game's clothes. And notice the framing of Aaliyah Boston. No call, no show. 15 points. We'll come back to that, because those 15 points are the most misleading number on the entire sheet, and understanding why is how you understand what this offense actually is.
Kelsey Mitchell playing 35 minutes, shooting 16 times, 7 for 16, quick math, 43% maybe. If I had $1 for every time she looked off CC today, I'd probably have $7. I'm not even gonna exaggerate. I'd probably have $7, legitimately $7, maybe more. Caitlin Clark, 4 for 14.
7 for 16, 35 minutes. That's a high-volume, medium-efficiency night from a guard the offense is leaning on hard. Then comes the line that most people will scroll past. The claim that Mitchell repeatedly looked off Clark, 7 times by the joking count. That's an eye test observation, not a track statistic, so take it as what it is. But if you want to know why a team scores 12 and a quarter, ball movement is usually the first place to look. 12 points isn't a shooting slump. 12 points is what happens when the ball stops finding the best available shot and starts finding the nearest available shooter. One player having a cold night is variance. An entire quarter collapsing is a system failing.
Didn't really get going until the second half. Didn't really get going until the third quarter, and we're all in the chat. Shout out to the venue. We're like, whoa. She looks like she's heating up a little bit. She looks like she's getting some rip. Sit your ass down, CC. Sit your ass down. But then she plays the entire fourth quarter because Steffi White probably saw, she's only at 15 minutes. And we said before the game that she's going to get 25 minutes. So we have to play the whole entire fourth quarter. 10 minutes. Look, fine, 10 minutes. Look, played 10 minutes in the fourth quarter after coming up limping earlier in the game. Interesting. Very interesting. So you know what that tells me? Minutes restriction was bullshit. She doesn't need to get her minute.
4 for 14. And then the part that actually matters. 10 minutes in the fourth quarter. Straight through. No rotation, no 5-minute intervals, no load management. Now hold both facts in your head at once. Before this game, the reported cap was around 25 minutes. She comes up limping earlier in the night. And then she plays the entire final period of a game the Fever were never realistically winning. If the restriction is medical, that's a strange way to spend the last of it. Real load management protocols usually aren't a fuel tank you can burn however you want. They're often about how long you go without rest, not just how many minutes total. That's the contradiction. Whether it's proof of anything is a separate question. But it's a contradiction the team has to answer.
Monique Billings. In 25 minutes, Monique Billings gives us 4 points, 5 rebounds. How much are we paying Monique Billings? In 22 minutes, Lexi Hull gives us 2 points, 1 rebound, 1 block. We got $1.6 million between the two of them. Aaliyah Boston, 15 points, 7 rebounds.
Now we're on the money angle, and this is where WNBA roster math gets brutal. 4 points and 5 rebounds in 25 minutes from Billings. 2 points, 1 rebound, 1 block in 22 minutes from Lexi Hull. Roughly $1.6 million between them, by the number cited here. In a league with a hard cap and a roster of 11 or 12 players, that is not a small allocation. That's a meaningful chunk of your cap producing 6 points combined on a night your offense set fire to an entire quarter. And this is the part fans underrate when they demand a trade or a signing. There's no cap exception waiting to save you. Every dollar committed to underperformance is a dollar you cannot spend on the wing defender or the stretch four that would actually fix the spacing problem strangling this offense. The roster isn't just underperforming, it's financially stuck while it underperforms.
Aaliyah Boston scoring 15 points is news to me. That was the most unimpactful 15 points I've ever seen. Sophie Cunningham, 10 points, 2 for 4 off the bench. So Sophie played solid today. 4 steals for Sophie. Michaela Timpson, 19 points for Michaela Timpson. 6 points, 5 boards. Michaela Timpson played fine as well. Ty Harris. She played. This was disgusting today.
15 points and 7 rebounds. And it's described as the most unimpactful 15 points imaginable. That sounds like a contradiction. It isn't. Here's what that actually means. Points scored inside a broken offense and points scored inside a working one look identical in the box score and function completely differently on the floor. 15 points that come late, against a defense already in a comfortable lead, with no gravity pulling defenders off anybody else. Those points don't bend a game, they just fill a column. That's why a stat line can look fine while the eye test screams, and it's exactly why the 12-point quarter and a 15-point performance can coexist on the same night without anyone lying. Which brings us to the accusation that this wasn't about talent at all.
This was no effort, man. This team put in absolutely no effort today. They didn't care. They didn't have the will to win. Natalie Nakaze, of course, just whipping Stephanie White's ass as always. Again, we're going to go into a lot of these games. If Kelsey Mitchell doesn't go off, Caitlin Clark doesn't go off, we're not winning. If Sophie Cunningham doesn't go crazy off the bench, we're not winning. We're going to get outcoached consistently.
No effort, no will to win. Outcoached again by Natalie Nakaze. That's a heavy charge. And effort is the one thing nobody can measure from a couch. But the structural version of it is measurable, and it's stated right there. If Kelsey Mitchell doesn't go off, they don't win. If Caitlin Clark doesn't go off, they don't win. If Sophie Cunningham doesn't go nuclear off the bench, they don't win. That's not an effort problem. That's a team with no floor, no baseline offense that produces points when nobody's hot. Good teams have ugly wins, nights where nothing falls and they grind out a result off defense and possessions. A team that requires an individual explosion to be competitive isn't fragile, it's dependent. And dependency is what makes coaching matchups lopsided. If the opposing coach knows
this is the play. Caitlin Clark coming up limping here. Takes it to the rack. Gets it. Comes down. Not sure if she came down awkwardly or what it was. But then she gets up limping on her way back. See? Caitlin Clark gets up limping on her way back.
This is the play everyone froze on. She takes it to the rack, comes down, and gets up limping on the way back. Then she has words with the official over a missed foul at the other end, and the referee swallows the whistle on a technical. That restraint gets praised here, and honestly, it's the fairest moment in the whole broadcast. The comparison to how stars in other leagues get officiated, and the acknowledgement that this time the crew let a frustrated player be frustrated. But now put that limp next to the 10 straight fourth quarter minutes we already covered. Same game, same player, same night. That's not a rumor, that's just the sequence.
This is Caitlin Clark, even though her shot's not falling. Even though her shot's not falling during the game, she still manages to catch the ball behind half court. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 dribbles right past Gabby Williams to the rack. Gabby Williams, who they say is a lockdown defender. Right past her to the rack. Caitlin Clark pulls up from deep. I want to see her take this to the... I know she's a sniper. I know she has ultimate confidence. Just, if your shot's not falling, just take it to the rack. Get an easy 2. Maybe you could draw a foul, get an and 1. However, she misses it. Able to track the ball, grab her own rebound. Boop. Behind the back to AB. AB knocks it down.
And this is why the whole thing frustrates people so much. Shots not falling all night. She still catches it behind half court, takes it right through Gabby Williams, who has a legitimate reputation as a defender, gets to the rim, misses, tracks her own rebound, and drops a behind-the-back pass to Boston for a bucket. That's the argument for everything else being solvable. The creation is there on a 4 for 14 night. That's the definition of impact independent of shooting. The note in there is a real coaching point too. When the jumper isn't going, get downhill, draw contact, take the easy 2. Confidence from deep is an asset until it becomes the only setting. But you don't fix a shooting night by restricting the player who bends the defense. You fix it by building an offense that doesn't collapse to 12 points when she's cold. And that's the thing this roster keeps demonstrating it cannot do. Now here's the answer to the question we opened with.
Splash. Nice shot, AB. But here we go. Chloe Peterson on CeCe's minutes restriction. Steph White says that's a medical decision with people on the medical team. She did not say whether CeCe or AB would sit in the back-to-back this weekend for rest, saying they'll see where they are from a recovery standpoint after the game. Folks, I wouldn't count on I would count on them flipping back-to-back. At this point, I don't know if we'll see CeCe ever play back-to-back this year. I don't know. But again, this whole it's a medical decision, I think that's a crock of shit.
There's the official position, reported by Chloe Peterson. The restriction is described as a medical decision, made with the medical staff. And on the back-to-back, no commitment. They'll evaluate where players are physically after the game. Read that carefully, because that's the real reveal, and it's not a scandal, it's a stalemate. The team's framing is medical, and the team is the only party that has the imaging, the workload data, and the treatment plan. Nobody in the public has any of that. So on the actual medical question, the honest answer is that no one outside that building knows. But the reason the accusation has traction isn't paranoia. It's that the on-court usage keeps contradicting the stated protocol. 10 straight minutes doesn't look like a restriction to anyone watching, and when the visible evidence and the official explanation don't match, people don't stop believing something. They just pick the explanation that fits what they saw. That's the whole story.
The medical team said, oh, you have to play her in 5-minute intervals, but if she has 15 minutes, then you can just play her 10 minutes straight to reach that 25-minute threshold that we've set before the game. This is bullshit. This is nonsense. Stephanie White's a liar. The Indiana Fever are full of liars. I can't wait for Caitlin Clark to get out of here and get to a real organization.
And that's how the gap sounds when it finally breaks. A commentator flatly calling the coach a liar, and the organization a group of liars, and openly wanting the franchise's most valuable asset somewhere else. That is opinion, stated as opinion, and it's worth labeling clearly. There's no confirmed evidence anyone lied. The alternative reading is completely plausible, a real soft tissue issue, a genuinely cautious plan, and a coach making a live decision in the fourth quarter of a game she was trying to save. Coaches deviate from plans all the time, and sometimes the medical staff clears exactly that. But notice what the franchise has actually lost, not the game, the benefit of the doubt. Once your own audience stops accepting your explanations, every future injury update gets read as a press release instead of information, and that is much harder to win back than a 13-point loss.
Tough. And I know I'm about to leave, but it pisses me off because before she got hurt against the Mercury, she had a 7-game stretch of just heater after heater after heater after heater after heater. Seemed like she was really figuring out how to take that next step in this league. And then she gets the fist in the throat, and now we have these 3 last games where we're on minutes restriction, and we're all, what's going on here? Hopefully we're off minutes restriction and we get to see what we were.
And this is the part that should actually bother you, because it isn't about one bad night at all. Before the injury against the Mercury, there was a 7-game stretch of nothing but heaters. A player visibly figuring out the next level, the read speed, the pace control, the counters. That's the version of a career where somebody stops being promising and starts being dominant. Momentum like that is not a light switch. It's built over weeks, and it's fragile. Then the injury. Then 3 games of restrictions, uncertainty, and a coaching staff that won't commit to a back-to-back. And the thing you can't recover with a press conference is rhythm. So here's where it stands. The Fever lose by 13, 12 points in a quarter, 4 for 14, 10 straight fourth-quarter minutes under a stated 25-minute cap, a limp on tape, roughly 1.6 million producing 6 points, and an official medical explanation that the audience has stopped taking at face value. Every single one of those is verifiable. The only thing that isn't is the motive behind it, and anyone telling you they know the motive for certain is guessing, so you decide which one it is. Is this a franchise genuinely protecting a player through a real injury and communicating it badly, or a team managing minutes, managing stats, and managing perception while the actual basketball falls apart around it? Pick one and put it in the comments, because there's no comfortable middle here. If this breakdown was worth your time, hit like and subscribe so the next one finds you, and I'll see you on the next one.